Should we actually get started?
I think so. Oh, I see. You're talking to me.
Oh, am I?
No, it's your turn. We haven't even done the intro yet.
What? What? I don't know. No, we have. What minute is this?
68.
That's right.
Is that not correct?
No, that is correct.
Okay.
How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
Ghost of Frankenstein.
My son, would you destroy that which I, your father, dedicated his life to creating? What if it had another brain?
Whose brain?
Your brain.
Power! What good is a brain without eyes to see?
I warned you that you might regret this action.
Well, we've warned you.
You've been warned.
So this is 65.
You've been warned. While he mumbles, I will say, welcome back to Frankenstein Minute. That is the podcast that dissects the universe of Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Tom Lang.
And I'm Bill Evenson, and you join us for the final minute, 68.
And it is a gripping one, too.
So the movie's obviously less than 60. It's probably 67 and a half. So this is everything from 67 to wherever.
It's 26 seconds.
26 seconds. We don't even have a half a minute for you to talk about. If my projections are correct, and there's absolutely every reason to think they are not.
Sure.
Today is September 5th.
It is.
Okay.
So this is our 6
Patreon.
years we've been doing this. This is kind of sort of an anniversary.
Yeah, really good point.
Yeah, so this is six years. So thanks for supporting us for 6 years, and bye!
Bye! See you later.
No.
Tomorrow is Roland Vance Lee's birthday. He was born in 1891. That makes him 282 years old.
Yeah, boy, he doesn't look it though.
It's interesting
actually kind of
because
looked it during Son of Frankenstein, but
yeah, he didn't. He doesn't. Yeah, he comes across as a different generation or something in a way. Actually, everybody in that movie's old.
Well, everybody in that movie's dead except one. So
is Donnie still with us?
Yeah, he just had his. Actually,
he just turned
the
100?
day after we're recording this. It was his birthday yesterday.
So did we talk about that? We probably did.
We recorded like 9 years ago, the last episode. So I don't know. Maybe
we just did all these at once.
Yeah, we did like 7 in a row. So who knows?
So what are you looking up?
When his birthday was and how old he is.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw something about Donnie.
August 16th. So yeah, yesterday.
So yesterday. All right.
And 90 years old.
Wow. All right.
But this goes back now several weeks.
Yeah. Now he's been dead for
unfortunately
2 or 3 weeks.
Unfortunately,
we now mourn the passing
in the interim
of Donnie Dunnigan.
Okay, you know what's going to happen is we're going
to get kicked off YouTube for misinformation.
We'll laugh about it,
and then they die.
Yeah.
Oh, let's hope not.
Oh no,
Donnie's a national treasure.
I have no ill will towards him.
I'll tell you something. My uncle is a Classic Monsters fan, and I never really talked to him about the podcast as I don't know, just we haven't bumped into each other a lot over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And the last time I saw him, I had mentioned the podcast, or someone did, and so I just saw him. Sure. He gave me some feedback on our podcast. This is perfect for.
So I know you're saying I'm fired, and
well, yes,
I did want to break, but
the perfect time for feedback on Ghost of Frankenstein minute 68. Here's the feedback. You guys are great. I think you have a good rapport, and I laugh, and I think it's fun to listen to. But but Ghost of Frankenstein isn't Citizen Kane. And I'm like, yeah. So I get that, and I think that's cool because that's the second time I've heard that. The other thing he mentioned was he completely disagrees about Donnie Dunnigan. He thinks Donnie is great.
Really?
Yeah.
He's
a big Son of Frankenstein fan.
Ever encountered anybody that has that opinion?
Well, we haven't met Donnie. He probably thinks so.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
No, he doesn't. He's like, I had no business doing that. I didn't know what I was doing. I was 4.
I'll say this. He's not in it a ton. It's a 99-minute movie, and he's in it 4 of the minutes, 8 of the minutes.
He's in more than that.
But I mean, so where he talks. Which is the problem.
Yeah, that's the issue.
All right, but we're talking about Roland V. Lee. That's made me think of that.
Yes, okay.
I also have been thinking about Roland V. Lee recently because of the recent publication of the Bear Manor Media Scripts from the Crypt, Ghost of Frankenstein script that we will talk about later.
Yes.
There's some reason to talk about Son of Frankenstein where that's concerned. Now I'm just babbling.
No, keep going. I'm good.
Tomorrow is George Wagner's birthday. He was born in 1894. He's 3 years younger than Roland V. Lee.
And he's a spry 185.
Yeah. He produced this.
He
yeah?
did produce this film. He produced and directed The Wolfman.
Oh, that's right.
He also produced and directed Man-Made Monster, which sort of was Junior's tryout as a horror guy.
And has
Lionel Atwill in it.
Lionel Atwill, but does that one also have what's her name?
Evelyn?
Evelyn.
No.
Okay, that's just the Wolfman.
Well, yeah.
I thought she was in that for some. Okay.
No.
Is Alona Massey in it? I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, well, there's good reason to. No, she's not either. I can't remember who it is. It'll come to me.
But I mean, it came up recently because the villagers stormed the castle, and the first room they walk into is in the Wolfman, and I believe Man-Made. Yeah.
No. That was built for the Wolf.
We should go back and watch those.
We should. I've seen it
There's
recently.
lots of things we should do.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's on that Universal Monsters channel a lot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I should watch that more.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened to me is I started watching the Godzilla channel, and I started becoming a little obsessed. It was like, I can't even work without Godzilla being on.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, George Wagner. Also on Saturday.
Oh, he also directed some episodes of Batman, of all things.
Interesting.
I remember when, I watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
Batman, loved it. Took it very seriously. I could not understand why my dad was laughing at it.
Yep.
They're in a giant frying pan with a giant magnifier.
Yeah.
They're going to get burned to death.
This is not
funny. And when I was in junior high, then it was in syndication here.
Okay.
And yeah, it was the funniest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
And a couple episodes directed by George Wagner,
That's
of all
something,
things. And he spelt his name lowercase except for the 2 G's in Wagner for some reason. And apparently,
kind of weird.
Apparently later on, after his tenure at Universal, he started to do that very frequently. And
I like it.
Yeah, it's it's like adding an H to your name where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
What you remind me of is a guy who I think won an Emmy for the Monkees, directed a bunch of Columbos. I'd be like, oh, this is by the guy who did the Monkees.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name now. Also, you'll probably think of it. It's
Frawley or
It's some. You got it. That is the guy I'm thinking of.
James Frawley or
Crawley or
Anyway,
Frayling.
Frizz Freeling.
Frizz Freeling.
Yeah, my friend Corey is like, maybe there's 2 Frizz Freeling cartoons that don't suck.
Oof.
Maybe. Like, you're not too far off.
Is that true?
They're not great.
Interesting.
If it's not like Chuck Jones, Tex Avery, or Bob Clampett, maybe Arthur Davis. If it's Robert McKimson, Frizz Freeling, they're going to be pretty stiff. Talky.
I'm going to devote my life to disproving this
Okay, you
fact.
go for it.
I will say this: I'm a Chuck Jones guy. I can't. I can't pretend otherwise. So, on a basic level, I agree.
Yeah.
You put Chuck Jones first, and then we can talk after that. What was the other one you said?
Tex Avery.
Tex Avery.
Bob Clampett.
Tex Avery is a very specific thing, and he does a very specific thing better than anybody.
He does,
but I still prefer Chuck Jones on a
his
overall.
if we're talking Looney Tunes, his tenure there was short.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he started very early on and could have laid the groundwork, but he left very shortly after Bugs Bunny was established.
Yeah.
To go to MGM.
Is he the guy that was all like feels like he created Bugs Bunny? Fine.
I mean, everybody created Bugs Bunny. There's
a
long gestation period there, which could take a whole podcast to talk about.
Yeah.
It's probably not a bad idea.
But I think that when I think of what is the style of Looney Tunes that really carried over into sort of ruining entertainment for our generation, because nothing like movies started to become more like Chuck Jones at some point.
It set the bar pretty high, is what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's what I want from my entertainment. I guess
you
generally
want that Chuck Jones level. Yeah.
Of I guess attitude is the only word I can think of. Really.
Well, there's the attitude, the smartness about it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't dumb down. He was asked at a symposium once, Mr. Jones, your cartoons have a lot of violence in them. Do you think that's good for children? He's like, look, these movies weren't made for children. They weren't made for adults. They were made for me. And I think that's the perfect answer.
But a lot of people get asked that question over time, like Quentin Tarantino's asked that question about violence in particular. And I feel like he kind of gives a similar answer. But violence in particular, I think, and Tarantino's obviously on a slightly more realistic side of that. Although although now that I think about it, his violence is kind of Chuck Jones-like.
No, I was going to say, I think the opposite. It's fairly cartoonish.
That helps in a way.
I think it certainly like Pulp Fiction. We saw it very early on when it was released, and shortly thereafter, people were complaining about, oh, it's so violent, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, was it? Was it really that?
Is that...
Did I?
Do you...
And I think my bar for that sort of thing is pretty high, because I know it's fake, first of all, and I know how they do it.
And that's part of the interest of it.
Gore and violence in movies doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
They're showing an operation, I'm going to fucking pass out.
Yeah.
But some hand blown off in Taxi Driver, whatever. That's an effect. Dick Smith did a great job because it looks fantastic.
Yeah. No, who's the guy that did the zombies for Dawn of the Dead? Savini. Yeah, the reason that we know who Tom Savini is isn't because we're serial killers. Yeah. And neither is he.
Right.
He's probably the sweetest guy in the world. He comes across that way.
He's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
I know a guy that knew him briefly, and
he's as cool as you.
Said the one thing is, see his latest movie or he won't talk to you. Other than that, he's a great guy. He's like, yeah.
Well, there you go.
You seen From Dusk Till Dawn yet? No. Well, then fucking call me back after you've seen it. Basically. But other than that,
he's got a
school that teaches.
I was going to say
stuff.
He's got a decent sized role in that.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
No, he's.
Is he the guy that's got the gun in his crotch?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's also the guy that gets disemboweled in Dawn of the Dead, and he's one of the bikers.
I know he's one of the bikers. He gets disemboweled?
I think he's the guy that gets disemboweled.
Because the one I always think about when you talk about disemboweled is the guy in Day of the Dead. That is so great.
Yeah.
I could watch that on a loop all day. Thing. Which makes me wonder about your thing about not watching an operation. Because that was the thing that I didn't know. When my kids were born in 2005, and when I went into the room, I had my video camera to capture the event, and they said, give that to this guy. He's an intern. We don't know. You might pass out. You probably will. A lot of guys do. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll pass out when I see all this blood. And I just remember standing up and looking over the thing because it was a C-section and being like, oh man, this is like Dawn of the Dead.
I don't know what it is because I being there was different than like watching
on TV, like watching
they used to have
open heart surgery.
Well, cable. Well, yeah, that I just had. I'd had one. Just had. It was 11.
You don't remember it.
11. No, I don't really remember the details. But they show you a video after the fact.
Of you?
No.
Oh.
No. Here's what we did.
Okay.
And a lot of it was animated, but there was some actual footage. And I think they show it to you afterwards because if they showed it to you before, there's no fucking way you're gonna let them do this to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was 27 when I had the first.
And did you have a quintuple or something?
I had a quadruple. They were gonna do a double.
Okay.
But they're like, well, we're here, so let's just do it all now. And it's been 11 and a half years. I haven't had an incident at all. I'm probably healthier.
Knock on wood.
Healthier than I've been.
This is the last episode of Frankenstein Minute.
Very well could be.
What does that have to do with George Wagner? You know what's happening later on Saturday? Jackie and I have tickets to see Beetlejuice.
No, do you? Yeah.
Which I have mixed feelings about, so I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to...
I am scrupulously avoiding watching any of the trailers.
I've watched the trailers because here's what happened. We went to Jackie's sister's house and she happened to have Beetlejuice up on the thing. She was watching it. And I think I know why Tim Burton was great back then and maybe isn't so great
now. Not so much now.
At least where Beetlejuice is concerned. A lot of stop motion, a lot of practical effects.
Right.
And I just think that's not how things are made anymore.
No.
So when I watch the trailers, I am watching the trailers to try and get a feel for the first of all the tone, which I think they got, which it's all the same people, so you would hope they'd be able to recreate the tone.
There's a few missing.
That's true. The child molester
didn't make it into the final cut.
Is that his funeral? We don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's hope so. But I think the practical effects, and I've seen some shots where I think, okay, this is a CGI shot where they're trying to recreate
make it look
practical
like a
effect from the original.
Yeah.
And so, fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll be doing that.
Well, have fun. I'm going to see it eventually. I don't know.
No rush.
I want to take the kids because Beetlejuice was a huge thing when they were growing up.
Okay.
And my first wife, it came out shortly before we started dating, and then Batman was the big thing. Our first date.
Beetlejuice is before Batman?
Yeah, wow. Just before. He got Batman on the strength of Beetlejuice.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah. I mean, when I say it makes sense, I'm
chronologically
in my mind of how it went. Yeah.
So actually our first date, my first wife and I, we knew each other for years, but our first real date, we went to see The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Wow.
At the Cooper, which I don't know if that means anything.
Nothing.
It was one of those old Cinerama theaters, so it was a gigantic fucking screen. Like 3 Cineplex screens put together now. There isn't a screen that big big in the States, I don't think, anymore. They were showing the previews, and this one starts. It has sort of this Art Deco, sort of film noirish look, and this stuff is happening, and I'm like, I leaned over like, I think this is Batman. And then there was the shot where Nicholson has the newspaper in front of him and he drops it down and says, wait till they get a load of me. It was like a fucking bolt of lightning went through the audience. It was incredible. The energy, it was a physical sensation.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And then when it ended, people stood up and cheered.
That's amazing.
I've never encountered anything, even for like a Star Wars trailer or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
There was so much anticipation.
God, as you're talking, I'm yearning for those days because
Yeah,
I think I've
ever
said
come
this
back.
on the podcast before. Once in my life, I've ever left a movie, turned to the person next to me and said, "You want to watch that again?"
Yeah.
And just bought a ticket and watched it again, and it was Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a big deal.
I was talking to my son about it one
Because
day.
I don't watch it. I don't watch it now. I haven't seen it in years.
Oh, I do. It's one of my favorites still.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I love that movie. The Christian Bale ones, fuck that. That's garbage.
Well,
Absolute
I wouldn't go that
garbage.
far. I think there's some great
Unwatchable
things
junk.
in it. It's very watchable.
No.
That's it. Very watchable.
Not really, though.
The first one is okay. The second one, I think,
it's
is
like 4 hours before Batman actually begins.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Oh, it just goes on.
It's okay. I mean, I say I didn't
intolerable.
like it. I didn't bother to watch it. It didn't interest me. They do Batman movies all the time.
Well,
and now
that's
it's only
the
going
problem.
to get worse.
That's the problem.
Is it in a couple of years he becomes a
Public domain. Yeah, no,
it's only going to get worse.
Yes, this was an event. This was, this made comic book movies a genre of its own, and the genre it is, unfortunately, and the box office juggernaut that it is. Superman a few years earlier helped,
Yeah.
but it was nothing like this.
Yeah, I think you do have to include Superman in that conversation. But yeah, it didn't change the movie industry. That's 11 years later Batman comes out. So,
right.
Yeah, and then everything's different.
Then everything's different after that.
All right.
I'm just buying time so we could pad this thing out for a few weeks.
Tuesday, we celebrate the birth of Robert Wise for some reason. Robert Wise, the director of
Robert Wise is
such great horror classics as Sound of Music, Star Trek, the motion picture. I know. I'm just kidding. The Body Snatcher is a great film.
There's also this I'd like to introduce you to.
The Haunting.
If you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
It is one of the best fucking ghost movies this side of The Uninvited.
That's not a selling point to me.
It's a
Ghost
fantastic movie.
My favorite ghost movie has Abbott and Costello in it.
Does it? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like
Was that either Hold That Ghost or A Time of Their Lives?
Time of Their Lives.
Okay.
And the other one was we watched. Oh shoot! It's a David Lean, I think. What's his ghost movie?
Yep.
Anyways, I've talked about it before. Dino
Not,
posted it as a triple feature. That one and Topper and.
Oh, Topper. We were watching those. John and I are going through those.
You go through the Toppers. The first one is pretty great.
First one's great. The second one is meh.
Yeah.
The third one is outstanding.
Oh, good.
It's the cast and the situations, and it's the funniest, I think, of the three, because it just, let's pull out all the stops kind of a thing.
Oh, I almost had the title. It was right there. Because I think they're showing it at like the Heights this year.
David Lean?
Yeah, I think it's a David Lean festival or whatever. So it's, or maybe it's a Trilon.
Yeah, I can see it in my head too. God damn it. This is why I need a break.
It's a very odd movie title. It's like, yep.
Dr. Zhivago.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Keep going. Blythe Spirit.
Blythe Spirit.
Yes.
Another great one.
I could see like images from the film in my head.
Oh yeah.
I could not pull the title.
Yep. And that's it. Although I will say next week, when we might be on a break, next Saturday is the anniversary of Robert Wise's death in 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Supposedly Shakespeare died on his birthday, which I think is perfect timing.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm going to try to do that myself because we share a birthday.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Robert Wise, though, he was one of those guys, kind of like Howard Hawks, that could work in any genre.
Yeah.
He kind of started, he started as an editor. He edited Citizen Kane.
Absolutely. And
Magnificent Ambersons.
Magnificent Ambersons.
Directed,
the less said
apparently,
about that, the better.
Directed parts of the reshoots, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
But Body Snatcher is one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Well, and he's got, what's his, is it Day the Earth Stood Still?
Howard
Hawks has the Thing from
Another World.
Exactly. Both.
Well, and he did.
Although I don't know that, is there a Robert Wise Western that I'm not thinking of? Did he do? Did he?
There might be. It's not as known as Hawks's would be.
Right. What's the musical that Steven Spielberg remade? Was that one of
West Side Story?
Was that Robert Wise? Yeah. So
the
dipped his toe in
Spielberg
musical.
remade and nobody cared. Is that the one you're talking about?
Did they?
I don't know. It came and
maybe
went.
We all
and
love it. I love it. I don't
Okay.
think I've seen the original.
Yeah, I've seen the original. I have no desire to see.
Listen, I just saw Jaws in a theater recently. I'm very pro Spielberg.
I wish we could have gone. That was that's.
Yeah.
We did see it a few years back in the theater, Dawn and I.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, just a year or two after we started dating, so that's longer than a few years back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a fun adventure to take in the theater.
Well, we
tonight, actually, if we're going to talk about that, we're going to go see The Shining at the Riverview.
Oh wow,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yeah.
We went and saw Jaws at the Parkway, and at one point, all of a sudden, they put on the wrong reel, and I was the guy who went, "Oh!" and then everybody went, "Oh!" And I was like, I feel like some sort of sense of pride that I was first. But it was like, "Whoa!" Because I'm not 100% sure, and the way I've told the story, and I don't know if I've even talked about it on the podcast, but is that they skipped the USS Indianapolis part.
Oh wow!
But I'm not 100% sure, because when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden it switches and you just see the beginning of the scene, then the movie stopped, the lights came up, people went to the bathroom, and then they fixed it. So I think it would have skipped that part, but it might have been skipping to that, past the barrel part, whatever, who cares? But it's fun to go to a movie theater and everybody knows when you put the wrong reel on. Yeah.
If I taught an acting class, like acting for film, that would be a scene that I would use.
The USS Indianapolis?
Yes.
Yeah,
Here's how to act a scene in a movie.
When I've told this story before, it's like, we're going to skip that? I didn't come here to watch a fucking shark movie.
Yeah, right?
I came here to see that scene.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Why he didn't even get like a Best Supporting Actor nomination, I don't know.
Yeah, did he ever win anything?
No.
Yeah.
He died young, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen the videos that people have found of him singing the song from, what's the song he keeps singing in? The Old Irish Ladies, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
There's like someone found a video of him on a TV show in the 50s just singing that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he's a character in a show and they walk in the room and he's singing that song with a guitar. And it's like, that's just a song he knew. I feel like Jaws could be analyzed shot by shot to figure out how that
it's almost like somebody should do it. Talk about it like minute by minute.
They've probably done a few.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
No, he was singing it on on set during takes, and Spielberg is like, "Is that? We need to find out if that's public domain."
But I don't think you're talking about the right thing, because I think
it's the little poem that he does.
The poem that he says he literally found on a headstone.
Headstone, yes, that's right. You're right.
Yeah, all right. We're doing Jaws Minute. You've joined us for minute 68.
And what a whiz-bang minute it is.
Yeah, we start off with the two leads.
No, they're
in the movie. What are they?
He's billed second, she's billed fifth.
Yep.
So no.
Walking off into the sunset.
It's sunrise, actually.
I suppose that makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because it's a new day. It's a new day now, and everything's okay now. Her father just died and was burned to death in the castle, but that's fine.
It's an interesting time to talk about this minute, because I didn't really come here to talk about this minute.
No, of course not.
So we've been talking about the other script that we're going to talk about later, and none of this happens in that. This is a completely revamped idea.
Well, it's funny because we'll get to this eventually, but what in this script from the Crypt version, what's in the script that made it to the shooting script, and what's in the script that didn't, and what's in the shooting script that isn't in. It's all very interesting how that comes.
It's cool to be able to see it go through all the
see
stages.
The process. Yeah. I've read a few different drafts of Life of Brian, and see how that morphed as well is interesting, and how different those are from the final cut.
Where that's concerned, I would have thought Holy Grail, whereas half the movie's different.
Yeah. That, I mean, those are the only two available that are in that book. But
so they have a book of an early. Maybe I don't even know.
No. I just have found like on the internet and downloaded old files, or if somebody has scanned it.
I was on the internet in the late '90s, and I remember there was a website called Scriptorama or something.
Yeah.
And you could get these things. It would be like, wow.
Probably where I found them.
And you didn't doubt that it was real. It just seemed like right.
Well, because it wasn't retyped. It was like a scan. Because a lot of them now are like either retyped, which is some of the the last stuff that Philip Riley did.
Yeah.
Dracula versus the Wolfman. Now, I know it's real, but I don't know if the script in there is real because he retyped it, and it's full of typos.
Yeah.
But this obviously is a facsimile of the actual script because it's hard to read at times.
It is
because it's a copy of a copy of a copy, I'm sure.
And my brain turns a lot of the C's into S's.
Yeah,
so I'd be looking at a word for a long time. And go, oh no,
yeah.
It's kind of a nice little jolt to the brain. Really, it's hard to read physically.
It makes you
engage
put effort.
with your brain. Yeah, you got to put the effort in.
Yeah. Anyway, here we are. Yeah, they're walking down the lane into the sunrise.
Walking down the lane.
And it's, they took this footage and used it at the end of Harvey, I think, because it looks exactly the same.
I don't remember the end of Harvey.
They're walking away from the sanitarium, and the last thing is Elwood and Harvey walking along, and it looks a lot like this.
Okay, I see.
It could be the same hill for all I know because it's Universal, so
sure.
Who knows?
Yep.
And, the music swells, and then it goes into the credits.
The organ swells, if you will.
Oh, yes, it does.
And then we see the old tradition where a good cast bears repeating.
Good cast is worth repeating, although it's just the cast. I think it just says the players or something like that.
While a good cast is worth repeating, we're going
to show this one anyway.
Yeah.
There are some good elements to this cast.
Yep.
Lugosi is good in this. He's not.
I believe he is. That's one thing that I think I've taken away from this is I sort of bought into the idea, which is a real thing, that Igor is not the same Igor in this film as he was.
True.
He's got a haircut and he's got his teeth fixed and all that stuff, and his voice is different.
Well, and he's also not as cagey.
Yeah, that's true. He's not as sort of clever.
He's not as conniving.
Right. That's very true.
He walks around wringing his hands a little too much.
That's very true. Yep.
But
that's what I've learned over the course of this season is even given all that, I still think his performance in this movie, I guess it's probably the best performance.
Yeah.
I don't know
in
who
the
to
film,
even compare him to. I mean, Chaney.
Leon Hodgson,
and
I think is...
Chaney is given. They're open with insulting.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, Weaver doesn't hold
anything back there.
Yeah.
Cedric Hardwicke, I'll accept as a valid argument. I think he does really add something, but half the time I watch this movie, he's
asleep. Yeah.
And then the other half of the time, I'm thinking, oh no, he's actually being very subtle and clever.
He is, but I think it's not what the movie needs.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of movie. He's doing a better performance than the movie requires or needs. It's too subtle, too polished. It needs some of Rathbone's unhinged energy.
It's an odd thing to talk about because you want to have...
Which I didn't like in Son of Frankenstein, but it would have helped here because it is so sleepy.
And I tried to brush past that because that's going to be something we'll talk about with this. But
exactly.
The other thing is these movies are... is the right word melodrama? There's a great deal of things that are happening that are fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's reasonable to expect people to play it up a little bit more.
Yeah, ramp it up.
If an undead monster walked in the room, I don't think I would be normal.
No.
You know what I mean? I have no idea what I would be like. So it's weird. So you kind of expect people to act in accordance to that.
Yes.
And he certainly does
he's not. And I don't know if part of that is just his thinking, well, this is crap.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong, but
he's just an asshole.
Yes, I wasn't going to do that. But but it really kind of needs that sort of hysteria, I guess, that Rathbone brought to Son.
I think that,
and I think in this instance, I mean, it didn't always work in Son, and it probably wouldn't always work here.
Yeah, but
I think it certainly would have helped.
I also think it kind of doesn't work because he's a new character. Mm-hmm. So we get a new guy that comes across as completely capable and professional at what he does, just being thrown into this monster movie.
World, yeah.
And you didn't feel that way with Rathbone. You couldn't feel that way with Clive because he was creating
he instigated
this.
It. Yeah,
it was his fault. Or Pretorius. I mean,
Well, Pretorius was a big caricature, kind of a cartoon character.
Yeah.
writ large in this huge canvas. You know, Henry's the sanest person in the film, maybe. You know, certainly Elizabeth is hysterical half the time, and Pretorius is just he's next to Karloff. He's my favorite takeaway from the Frankenstein series.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then Igor would be third.
Yeah, we're at the end of all of this.
We are. It's over, man.
Sad.
This is over.
How sad is
you know, you wonder why I need a break?
Since this film is...
Find out next week. Same time, same channel.
Lower!